Okay, we are going to talk today about 3D printing and our experience in prototyping and manufacturing. Now you may ask a question, what is 3D printing? So before I explain what it is, you will see, we will attach on our blog, let's go, the slide, so you could see the detail. But in one word, 3D printing is what we call additive manufacturing. Now, to give you an example, now I am using a two-spaced tube here, and what you do, 3D printing, you know, the head of the printer go like that and deposit 3D print the paste or the material, which is plastic, and it will go like that and go up and up until the object you want to do is made on 3 dimensions. So on 3D printing, how it's made? Well, first we have to design a model on CAD, and after we use a 3D printer, and I will show you later what they are, this 3D printer. But there is different kind of additive process, and forget the technology, but one is called SLS, which means selective laser sintering. I will explain to you later what it is. And another one, it's called additive printing. So you could see on that slide there is a SLS printer, and the SLS printer, the concept is the head of the printer, instead of being a nozzle injecting plastic, it's laser, you see here, and the laser is guided by a computer and burn here the powder. And the advantage of that technique, it's when we use, the powder is still retaining the object, okay? And we are being able to make the puzzle with all the articulation and everything in one piece using that technology. Now, we cannot use the regular technology, which is, you know, you could say, you might have heard about the printer from home. And I have an example. Now, if you look at the slide, you see a person, the shadow of a person, just to give you the size of this printer. You know, this printer is about the size of a TV, and this one are about the height of a refrigerator. Now, this one are using plastic only most of the time, and cost $900 to $2,000. Okay, but they don't. We cannot use them for what we do. Now, the bigger one there, which are using the technology SLS we are using, use different kind of material which are sintered by laser, and could cost from, let's say, $50,000 to $1 million. And so it's not something we are going to afford ourselves. Okay, but that's the two choice you have. Okay, now 3D printing has a bunch of challenges. You know, must have read that in various documents, and you know, the drawback, it's a high cost of production. Another drawback, I have to read, it's really good for small model and not big model because of the expense. It's not really good for mass production. It's good for prototyping. One of the advantage, you know, it's really fast prototyping. You could make a change and change it quickly on CAD, which is quite easy. And you could use different material, and as we will see, and the color of what we do could be, you know, it could be made of various material, and even now some printers are doing 4 or 5 colors. They use 4, 3 or 5, and you could be all shade of color even in the same object. But for us, it was not needed. So before we do an object, such as, let's say I have an object here, okay? So what we are, in fact, is that one. It's a cube with a cross inside. So we have to do a CAD design. And when the CAD design is done, because, you know, it's very intricate, you have a cross, a 3D cross within a cube, different thickness, it's very fine detail. And when it's done on CAD, we have to make sure, using some testing software, that there is no what they mention broken triangle, or there is no missing links. And after that, we have to make sure the size of the object, you know, the small size, is feasible on a given printer. So we are doing all these tests, and it's not as simple as we believe most of the time. Now, our approach, and I will look at some of these objects we have there on our approach. So what we did first, we designed a simple object, okay, such as a cross, like that, or a cube. And we did it with trial and error. We did it for different material. The colors are different. You see there's something blue. Okay. Now, the blue and the red, for example, don't have the performance. It's different. We did on some different material. You know, that one is very fine. And if you cut it too much, it will break. In fact, it was breaking, and you have here the result of the breaking. But it's a special plastic, and it was not suitable. But we made all this experiment. Now, when we were able to master this object, what we were trying to do for the cube, to try to make hinges. And that are hinges in one piece. You could see there, the small hinges. Now, that's maybe version 10 of it until we were able to do it, because we have the tolerance of the pin inside the hinge when it's made in one piece. And after success of that, we try on two pieces, on two parts of the puzzle. And here, I don't know what happened, but it breaks, you know, another. You know, when I said trial and error. And finally, we were able to get the hinge working with two cubes. And we learned also how, since we pay by the volume of plastic, you know, it cannot be a solid cube. It's a cube like that, and we have to make sure it doesn't break. So we tried different sizes to make the cube. And that one was too small, and the hinge, they cracked, you know, so it's no good. But that was an experiment. We made another one there, and it's too small to be manipulated, you know. That's a puzzle, it's made in one piece. So after a lot of error and trial, we end up with the puzzle, the real one, you know. And it's the colors are different, and you could see it, and we were able to make something which is solid enough to be manipulated a couple of times, and with a plastic we will not break. So we have to make provision for the tolerance on the cube you see here, and it's rather the CAD to do that is rather complicated. So when we had achieved all of that, we select product we wanted to make for our ecosystem of the hypercube of love. So we try with all these objects. So they are, you know, you could see they are very delicate objects. That one exists in different colors. We were able to make one there, you know, red, and we could put across inside, so everything has to be measured with great precision. You know, the cross could go on a white one, or we make one like that. It's very tight, a small blue cross, and that is you could put that on a chain and a pendant. And when we made all these objects, we decided also to try metal object, and that is gold plated, made in one piece. So we are able to make jewelry, which is quite interesting. We were able also to make something you will see here, which is a ring, and that ring has a cube similar to that one, okay, with a cross inside, and that one is in steel, okay, but it could be made in gold or it could be gold plated. So we have a different version of it and different size of the ring, and we were able to make also a plate, you know, which is quite interesting. That plate, depending on which angle you look at it, you get some different impression of depth. In fact, it is depth, but you could see almost volume. And we could make objects for adults, for children. For example, we made a spindle. Now we'll try to, not too good with a spindle. Okay, so I have to learn more, you know. Okay, we make a spindle. So, what is our experience now? We have been able to make these prototypes. Now, what do we do? How do we get that made? And as I mentioned earlier, we had the option of the home printer, and we discounted it. So we tried to find a manufacturer that would be able to do everything we need at a reasonable price of manufacturing and a reasonable price of shipping. So the characteristic of the list of the characteristic of the manufacturer were first the cost, and also which kind of material they could use. Are they able to take a CAD software file and check if the thickness of all the member of product are good enough for their system without breaking, okay, the color they had. And we wanted all these automated tests. So if something is not right, they send us the result on a file and said, you see that corner there is no good, you may have to redo it because it might break. So finally, what we did, we decided to use a company from New York City, from Long Island, called Shapeway, and they have been able to produce everything we needed. They never made a mistake. It was already in the time frame they indicated, and they offer the service of a store, I mean an online store, where they call it a shop. And we have our own Hypercube shop, and on that Hypercube shop you could select all these products and more I have shown to you in the color of your choice, and that was something really great for us. Okay, and that's about all I want to say about 3D printing. You know, I don't want to elaborate more because the topic is very complicated, but it gives you an idea of what we have done, you know, and that's about the result of about 3 years of work, trial, error. It costs a lot of money to do it, but finally we have been able to do this product. Now, if you go to the website, which is mentioned here, you will see on all these products what's the origin of this product, why they are there, but also you will be able to see 2 electronic books called Hypercube of Love. One is on the Apple iBook store, and the other one is a PDF file. And these books will explain to you in great detail everything you need to know about the hypercube of love, everything you need to know about mathematics and the Bible, everything you need to know about the fourth dimension, what you need to know about miracle, what you need to know, etc., about various phenomena or events you could read in the Bible. So I suggest you purchase these books. One, I guess it's $12, $12.99, and the other one is cheaper. It's $6.99. You know, it's money well spent, because these books, and you see they are, you know, they are long books, and you have animation in the books, and they will show you exactly what we are after, and what is our motivation, our vision, and our mission in life. And that's all I want to mention to you, because in the next Periscope, I will deal basically with how do you make an electronic book, the complexity to make an electronic book, but also the simplicity to make an electronic book, and how you could reach more people, because it's very visual. You know, it's not an ordinary book. It's a book with animation.